Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. Today's guest joins me from the UK. She's a pop singer-songwriter and musician with a new EP out right now called Party Tricks. Before we get this episode started off, please make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. On that note, please welcome Kate Lomas. Kate Lomas, thank you for joining me for an episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. I'm really excited to have you on. I've been jamming to Radioactive, which is your newest single. But as I understand it, tomorrow you have a new EP coming out called Party Tricks. Is it right?
I do.
Tomorrow? Okay.
I mean, wait, I'm getting confused with time, but that's on Friday, which is, day after
Sorry,
tomorrow.
my bad. let me start that over.
But wait,
just
it's
for the
11 a.m. on
Wednesday.
On Wednesday for you, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
Day
wrong.
after tomorrow.
So your EP Party Tricks is coming out on Friday, as I understand.
On Friday, yeah. It's very exciting.
How do you feel? What can we expect that's different from this EP than your previous releases?
I mean, we've been leading up for this EP for a long time. It's been a long time coming. And I guess it's like the first time that I've really felt like I've got a collection of songs together that just come together as a real concept and a real thing, and a point that I've developed as an artist that I actually know what I'm doing a little bit this time round. So yeah, it's super exciting, and also just feels like a bit of a end of an era as well. It really marks a point in time for me and a beginning as well of a new time. So
a chapter.
It's very
of your
exciting.
Life.
Yes, exactly. It's like a chapter. And yeah, it's very exciting. I'm really excited and obviously apprehensive as always when releasing music. It's always a bit of a scary thing as well.
Always a little bit nervous.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good.
Did you learn anything in this chapter of your life that you're going to be taking into your next future release? You know, like any important lessons from these releases?
Yeah, I guess everything that I've learned up till now is I'm constantly developing as an artist, as a songwriter, as a creative, and like constantly understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from this whole process. Like, you kind of start out and you write music and you don't really know why you're writing music, or why you're doing it in that style, or what it's all about, why are you actually doing this, where does this expression come from. And I guess that's something that I've figured out a lot more through this whole process, and will be taking with me and developing upon in the next phase.
So what is that thing that you've really kind of honed in on?
I knew you were gonna ask me that. That was just as I was answering that question, I was like, oh shit, I don't know.
I mean, we don't have to get into it.
I guess it's I can't think. When you go into panic mode and you're like, I've just said something quite dramatic and I can't actually think what the answer is to it now.
I mean, it's been a crazy 2020 for everyone. It'd be hard to say that, everyone's probably learned a lot about themselves in 2020.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think what I've realized is that making there's no way of, you can't make music because you've got to just make music completely authentically and release authentically and do it to make you happy, rather than to some sort of goal that is not necessarily reachable just by releasing music. And I think that's what I've really come to realize, is that I just really, really need to stay true to myself and what I'm trying to express, and interpret that into the visuals, into the music, into my artistry, rather than do it because I feel like that's something that I should do.
I was talking with the previous On That Note guest about vulnerability, Luke Markinson, and just how hard it is to be vulnerable in your own writing and your music videos and all that stuff, because you think, oh, like, I'll take these experiences and I will apply them into these songs, and then when it comes down to actually doing that, it can be really scary. So were there some songs that kind of scared you at first when you started writing them?
Do you know what? Not really. Like, it just feels like a very natural thing now. Writing and recording music and just putting yourself out there just feels like it doesn't feel scary. What feels scary is, I guess, feeling ignored in that you put yourself out there and you put your music out there. And I guess the fear factor for me comes from feeling ignored or like nobody actually cares. That's the biggest, that's the thing I think I struggle most with. It's not like as long as it's authentic, I don't feel scared about sharing that because it feels authentic. If something feels a bit off and a bit like, oh, that's not me, that's what I feel scared about sharing. But if it feels like me, then I'm cool with that. It's more the fear of it feeling like it's being shoved back in your face because you feel like no one's actually cares when they do. But that's the fear.
Was there any song or project you've worked on in your career that you noticed as you were getting into it, like, oh, I'm putting on a front here, this isn't quite me? And if so, how did you go about changing that?
I definitely feel like that, and I definitely feel like that with previous releases. And I guess that's what's so different about this EP and these releases, because it feels like I've finally found me. I think previously I've just been learning what me is and what my style is and what feels right and what influences to take, and just learning constantly. And I still am, developing, but I think previously I haven't felt as much as a connection to what I'm doing as I feel now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a great feeling to be able to connect to your own stuff more, or just feel like you're learning about yourself as you're writing this new song. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you go through an experience as the writing happens, and when you come out the end of it, you are kind of a different person because you've created something new, and usually it's maybe giving you a different perspective than you originally had.
Definitely. And sometimes, like, I mean, most of the time, I know a lot of people have the same experience. Like, you write something and you have no idea where that came from or what that line meant, or and then months later or days later, you kind of realize, oh, okay, that's actually connected to that. I had a really interesting experience with this with lockdown. I wrote something in November 2019. I went through a series of writing just really terrible things in like lots of different projects. Just I was in a bit of a bad place. I was just writing absolute rubbish, and I knew it was rubbish. And then I revisited it in, I think it was like April 2020, during the pandemic, during lockdown. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to open one of these projects to see what it sounds like. And it did sound terrible. It was rubbish. But there was one line in it that I really connected with, and I really, as present self, looking back at past self, it just took a whole new meaning from that. And I wrote this whole new song from that, kind of about that, looking back at your past self. And it's just interesting that you can write something and the context of it and the meaning of it becomes apparent so much further down the line, or it changes so much further down the line. Yeah, I can't remember the original question, but I hope that's some sort of answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing that you can come back to something a year later and gain a new perspective on it, or, take that and repurpose it for something new and even better. Make sure to never delete your old projects, because you never know what's going to stick through.
And also, like, your terrible experiences or your terrible projects or it all adds up to something great as well. I think that was the that's another kind of key thing with that is, yeah, it amounts to something great in the end, even if it's just one line of it.
Yeah, another previous On That Note guest, Elio, was talking about when she was going through like a writer's block phase, or when she was just writing things and she knew none of them were very good. The only thing you have to do is just keep writing, because you have to exercise that muscle and just constantly try new things and surprise yourself. And then eventually, you know, something will happen and you'll write something, like maybe it's just one line, maybe it's two chords that work really well together, but that's all it takes to spark an entire song and follow that lead. And I do gotta ask you about how you've worked with kind of a consistent collaborator throughout your career, Guy Britton, and it's really cool to see that you have someone who has been so consistent that you work with and that you can grow with. What advice would you give to artists who are looking for a collaborator to work with over the long haul, or looking for a community of artists that are supportive and want to help each other?
I guess it is just like, firstly is exercising that muscle, as you say. Like the best way to do something is to do it, and I think that's something that we all forget so often, that we just kind of think, oh, we can't start that yet because I haven't got this and this and this in place. I think exercising that muscle, creating as much as you can, even if it's absolute rubbish. Like the amount of rubbish that I have created in my time probably way outweighs anything that good that I've done. And I guess it's difficult, isn't it? Especially when we're in a global pandemic, but there is an online community. There is people that are in this exact same position as you that want to connect and chat. So I would say during this time, as long as you're active and you're doing things and you're creating and you're learning, there's always going to be other people out there that are doing the same thing that can connect. And I guess it's such an online world that it actually is possible to do that.
With everything being virtual, it's like the world is smaller. I mean, it already was before the pandemic, but now, I mean, with Zoom, I can do this podcast. I can talk to you while you're in London. I mean, the amount of people I've met through this is just astounding, that, you know, a year ago I would be like shocked to think that I could have connected with all these people. And you don't have to have a podcast to reach out to someone who you think is really good and be like, hey, maybe we can collaborate on something. We can send stems to each other and just see how things work out. How does your process work with Guy when you guys are in the studio?
So usually I write the bones of a song, because I really don't like writing with anyone else in the room. Like I would do everything. I've just realized that about myself. I've really tried collaborating in other ways, but it's too much. So I come with the bare bones of a song, and then take it to him, sit in the beats cupboard, which is his little studio. It's very cool. And yeah, from there we just kind of work on it together, just experimenting. It's never, there's never kind of a strict process to it. It's all about being in a good environment, being relaxed, and just experimenting with different sounds, different vibes, and finding that magic moment when it all clicks together. And sometimes that happens straight away, and sometimes that takes years, which it has done in the past.
Do you remember the moment where everything felt like it clicked for you, Radioactive?
Yeah, 100%. That was very quick. But the talking about writing rubbish, I wrote a song with Radioactive. I wrote a song called Radioactive way before I wrote Radioactive. It was actually after watching Chernobyl, which is quite dark. And that song was terrible. And then I don't know, 6 months later I wrote Radioactive. But I literally had like the bare bones of it. Some of it was just sort of like singing, like humming into the mic. And I took it to Guy, I mean, a couple of days after. and we worked on it, and that came together so quickly because it basically, I took the bare bones and had the chords in, and then I think Guy like put down the bass line in it, and just the drums, the bass line, the chords, just and the melodies, it just worked straight away with that groovy bass. And I remember I went to see a friend after, and I played it in the car, the demo that we'd just done the whole way. It was like a 2-hour drive, and I just played it the whole way.
On repeat?
On repeat. I know that's probably like a bit vain, but
no,
I really enjoyed it.
I've done that so many times. Like, you have to get lost in your own demo to like really know what it's about. But I don't know, sometimes I'm on the fence between, like, Rick Rubin says you should never constantly listen to a demo because you'll think that that's how it's supposed to sound instead of like what it could be. But sometimes I'm like, I have to hear it 100 times in the car to know where it's supposed to go. But that's a fine line.
It's such a fine line. Like, I feel guilty sometimes for how much I've actually, like, I'll write something I love, and then I'll go for a walk and I'll listen to it, and then I'll play it in the car, and then I'll go for a run, and then I'll be like, right, I've listened to this way too many times that I can be like subjective to it now. I'm just enjoying it way too much.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So the music video for Radioactive, very fun. What's that outfit is amazing. Where did you get
thanks.
that? Who came up with the idea for that suit?
The suit, do you know what? That was like a completely rogue purchase. Like 2 days before the first lockdown happened, I was just like in Topshop and I saw it and I was like, I work really closely with my friend Anna, who's also like my stylist, works with all the creative with me. I saw this suit and I went to changing rooms, I put it on, I sent a picture to Anna and I was like, this is it. This is the new Kate Lomas. And then I guess it just got integrated into all the visuals, and then it came to the video for Radioactive and we were like, yeah, this works. This is the one.
Sometimes that stuff, like an outfit like that, just appears to you out of nowhere, like a divine intervention, and it gives you all these ideas that you have for visuals, and that's amazing, because that was the first thing I noticed when I watched it. It was like, that outfit is
really
sick.
Wow, that's cool. Love that.
What was the overall experience like doing that music video? Because you've done a lot of music videos. Was there anything different about this one that really stood out?
This video like meant so much to me because I had the idea for the dance as I was writing Radioactive. Like, in that process, like as soon as like it come together as a demo, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, because and the reason why, it's really stupid, but the reason why is when I was writing Radioactive, I was just like jamming to it, and I was in my pajamas and I was just like dancing around on my own, and I just really wanted to capture that just naive like energy with the movement and the feeling of freedom and not really caring and being in this kind of industrial place, but like being united through movement. And anyway, so that was a very long time coming. And then my cousin, who actually is a choreographer, an incredible choreographer, her and her partner Dwayne put together, I sent them lots of very embarrassing videos of me dancing, because they said the movement needs to come from me. So I sent lots of like terrible, honestly, I watched them back and I'm like, what? Like, who is this person? Who is this loser? I sent them lots of videos of me dancing and they put together the choreography, and then I had all my friends involved and they taught us all the choreography via Zoom, and then it all came together on the day and it was brilliant. Directed by someone that I work with quite a lot called Tom Clover, who's amazing, and everyone did an incredible job, and it was kind of like it'd been such a long time coming. It was just so incredible to see it all come together in the perfect way.
That's awesome. It is a very fun music video, and it's cool. It's funny that you had to like teach the dancers via Zoom before you actually got on set.
Yeah, we had many funny Zoom sessions with lots of awkward moments where, like, you know, everything freezes. It's like 20 of us on
Right.
Zoom and everyone's talking, but they're not talking.
I would imagine it'd be hard with like everyone playing. They're like, all right, everybody start the music right now.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. We got it done, though. It worked out. It all worked out in the end.
It did, yeah. It's a great video. Everyone needs to go check it out. And that's going to take us over to the last 5 here. I'm just going to ask you 5 quick questions, and then we'll be done.
Cool.
All right, number 1 is in the studio or playing live?
Playing live.
Yeah, it's been a while, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's been so long. I miss it.
So why would you pick live over the studio versus, besides the fact that we can't really do it right now?
It's a whole other side to the artistry, I guess. I mean, it's hard because you need the songs to be able to play live. So one can't live without the other, but it's just a whole other side of expression and energy. And I guess a lot of what I do is to capture that feeling of freedom, of dancing, of being lost in music. And that's what live is, and that's what an audience experiences live music. That's how an audience experiences live music. And it's kind of like the only time that people are in a room together, not caring what they do or just moving as a kind of organism. And that's a big part of why I do music and why I feel how music makes me feel. So yeah,
so kind of the communal aspect of it.
Definitely. And the kind of release of not having social pressures or anything like that, just the release of moving and enjoying and experiencing, being in the moment.
That's cool. No one's really said that when they say that playing live is their favorite. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
Question number 2 is, what do you think is a perfect album front to back?
Oh no, that's really hard. I would say the first one that came to mind is Lana Del Rey's latest album.
What is it? Norman fucking Rockwell?
Norman fucking Rockwell. I wasn't sure if I'm allowed to swear. Sorry, I swore earlier.
Oh yeah, totally. And I got the Ultraviolence record behind me.
Yeah.
I was like, I try to guess what my audience or what my guest listens to or what the vibe is. And I was like, she seems like Lana Del Rey. I'll throw that up there.
Yes, you guessed correctly. Yeah, Norman fucking Rockwell is just, I love that, but I also love Born to Die as well. And yeah, as an album, I also just love Lord's first album. It's just, yeah.
Those are both classics, really. I gotta say though, I haven't really gotten into Lord, and I feel bad about it. Like, I've never listened to that whole album. I just know 4 or 5 songs. And
that's terrible.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
I know. I'm really ashamed. I can't believe I'm admitting it on this show right now. But after this, I'll go listen to it. How about that?
You have to. That's your homework.
There we go. Question number 3 is, who's your dream artist or producer to work with?
I would love to work with Jack Antonoff.
My last guest just mentioned Jack Antonoff. That's really
Cool.
Yeah, just yesterday.
No way. I mean, just because he's just super weird and creative, and he just does pop music, but with the total authenticity of bringing this whole, it's not like he works on every project and brings like a certain style to every project. He just brings a certain vibe to every project out of the artist. Like, he adapts to the artist he's working to, and he just brings all these weird elements and just goes about stuff in a total free and experimental way, but also in a very relatable and producing a very relatable and accessible sound. And he seems nice. I'd like to work with someone nice. Oh, like nice people. They're great. Um,
I
yeah,
love
I
his
mean,
work on Lover, the Taylor Swift album. I thought that was awesome.
yeah. Do you know what? I haven't listened to the full album of that, but
Well,
the
there's
few
your
tracks I
homework.
have, yeah. The few tracks I have, yeah, it's definitely been my more preferred stuff from Taylor Swift.
Yeah. So Jack Antonoff, great answer.
Yeah.
Question number 4 is what's on your musical rotation right now?
Ooh. Hang on, I've got my Spotify right in front of me. I
Yeah, pull
mean,
it up.
right this second, I've discovered this artist. It's a bit different, called Godford, and I'm just like totally obsessed with their album. It's called non-binary place, and I mean it's a bit different. It's not pop. It's electronic, and it's just the whole feeling of it just really captures something for me that has blown my mind a little bit. Like I like listening to their playlist as well. It's a whole realm of music that I haven't really fully tapped into before, and now I'm like discovering it. I'm like, it's really blowing my mind. So yeah, Godford
Godford. One word?
who's on rotation. Pardon?
Is that one word?
One word, yeah.
Okay. That's cool that when you find an album or an artist that is almost like it opens the gates or opens the
Yeah.
floodgates to this whole world of music. Like there's been like an electronic artist. Like I didn't really get into electronic music too much, like just dance, no vocals or anything like that. But there's been artists like One Tricks Point Never and Teebs, and even he has some vocals sometimes from other people. But it's cool when you listen to one artist or one group or album that just kind of, it's like, oh, okay, I do like this stuff. I just haven't found
Yeah.
the right thing
100%.
until now.
Yeah.
Like country
definitely.
for me too. I didn't really like country until I started listening to like Waylon and Willie. That's what my roommate showed me.
Oh,
Shout out to
really?
Pierce. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that's really cool. So Godford, I'll go check them out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's just as you say, it's just opens the floodgates, and you're like, I haven't had that for a long time, like with new music. I haven't found something that I've been like, oh, that's great, but I've just discovered this, and it's, yeah, highly recommend.
I will go listen to that as well after this. So the last question before we leave here is what's your favorite decade of music?
Oh, I actually just can't answer that. I just don't. I couldn't.
It's a hard one.
I mean, oh, nah. It's really hard. I'm really sorry. I just can't answer that. I just,
What do you think in between, at least?
like the 90s. If I could, wait, favorite decade for, I would say the 90s because of people like Fatboy Slim and the kind of rave scene that was coming up at the time, and I think that would be an incredible thing to experience. I'm gonna say the 90s, and also Spice Girls. So
Also, Spice Girls, of course.
yeah.
I love how you were like, I have such a hard time choosing, and then without any other discernment, you were like 90s.
What would be your era?
Probably 2010s, honestly. And most people forget, like when I ask them that, they forget that 2010s is an option because we just got out of it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I just say that because I like a lot of newer music. I know some people that only listen to like 60s and 70s and 80s, and that's really cool. I wish I could be that person who listen to like old school music all the time, but I just love where things are going too much, and like the experimentation of right now, like genre is not a thing anymore. Like if something's pop, it doesn't really tell you much about that song or that artist, because anything can be pop if you infuse it with other elements. And I just think, we're with everything being virtual too, and how anyone can make music in their own home. It's just cool to see people It's like power to the people, and anyone can express themselves, and that's really awesome.
Definitely. I completely agree with that. Like, because I don't really listen to older music that much. And I would definitely say it's interesting to see where things develop. And I think because there's so much more music, there is just such good music out there that from so many unknown artists at the moment. There's a much bigger selection from now. More
Absolutely.
Developed. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kate Lomas, that wraps up our time here on That Note. I'm really excited we got to do this interview. I appreciate you coming on and talking about your new EP, Party Tricks, which will be out this Friday. By the time this episode's out, it will be out, so everybody needs to go listen to it now on all streaming platforms. And yeah, like I said, Kate, thank you for coming on the show and talking to me.
Thank you so much for having me. That was really fun.
Yeah, of course. Always a good time.
Cool. I'm going to go finish my wine now.
Please do. And I'll go open one at 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you should. You really should.
And then go listen to the Lord.
Exactly.
I got you. I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Kate Lomas, thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Chat soon.
When I drink to you.
Thank you again for joining me for another episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and you can even leave a comment down below to let me know who you're listening to. On that note, I'll see you guys next time.